Ghosts, covens, evil sightings, and conspiracy theories are just some of the things that make the world mysterious and what to discover. Here's a chance to discover these things. Sit tight because you are in for some mysterious revelations. Ghosts like to play jokes on people too. This clip is a story of a girl who made a comment jokingly, and a ghost that heard her tried to prove her wrong by becoming an unwelcomed guest in her home.
She had no idea that after a fun night out, something followed her home. This is the chilling story of the uninvited guest. For a friend's birthday, Chloe and a few of their pals decided to book a tour of a haunted home on the other side of town. Chloe didn't believe in ghosts or any of that stuff, but agreed and thought it would be a funny night out. The night of, the group met up with the ghost hunter Steve, who gave the tour. He was really quirky and was obviously a big believer in the supernatural. Steve told the group that through prior investigations, they found the original owners of the 1900s mansion tragically passed in the home, and since it seemed to be some kind of a spiritual portal. There were reportedly numerous ghosts there, some tied to the home and others that seemed to be there just to cause trouble. Chloe laughed and honestly thought the whole thing was kind of comical. They did the standard tour, turning off all the lights, and Steve placed groups in different rooms of the home, and just as she guessed, nothing happened. As she left, she made a comment to Steve saying, "Well, I guess the ghost took the night off." They all went to get dinner and drinks afterwards, and Chloe finally got back to her apartment around midnight. She got ready for bed, lay down, and couldn't have been asleep for more than 10 minutes when all of a sudden she felt the sensation that someone had sat down on the bed next to her. The bed creaked and she felt a freezing cold breeze. She immediately jumped up and turned on the light, but there was no one there. She tried to brush it off, woke up the next morning, and got ready to walk to Pilates. It was only a 10-minute walk, and she made a turn down an empty street when suddenly, coming up from behind her, she felt that freezing air again and then heard a mischievous laugh in her ear. She turned around and again, no one there. That night, she got into bed and after an hour of tossing and turning, finally fell asleep. Just a short time later, she heard the unmistakable sounds of her floorboards creaking in her hallway, as if someone was walking around out there. She froze in fear and suddenly felt that cold breeze again, and felt someone standing over her. She jumped up, turned on the lights, and again, no one there. She was so desperate the next day she called Steve, the tour guide, and told him what had been going on since she left. He didn't sound surprised at all and said that he had seen spirit attachments before. He also noted the fact that Chloe made a joke of the home and the ghosts on the tour, that a spirit may have heard that and taken it as some kind of a challenge. He told her she needed to speak directly to the spirit and tell it that it wasn't welcome anymore. The moment she did, the energy shifted and the activity completely stopped. She never joked about that kind of stuff again. You never know who or what may follow you home to prove you wrong.
Devil worshipping is as old as humankind, but what we've not had to expose these acts, video recorders are now everywhere. A tape recorder is how these two devil worshippers who burned down a house were caught.
Creepiest found footage tapes.
Stories of sightings of Bigfoot are always heard around, and whether these two men found the Bigfoot we all know is still left for speculation. However, they have a video to prove it.
Could this be evidence that Bigfoot exists? On October 20th, 1967, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin were riding horseback along the banks of Bluff Creek in Northern California's Six Rivers National Forest. All of a sudden, something in the distance frightened their horses, and this is what they captured on footage. Despite the fact that the clip was shot with 1960s equipment, the footage is the most famous, most debated, but never definitively debunked video capture of a supposed Bigfoot. However, many still wonders if these two men actually saw Bigfoot, and more importantly,
the government is one for lies, most times in aid to dismiss public terror, and we are known for spinning conspiracy theories. So, here's one on the atomic bomb that got disarmed in the ocean.
The government is hiding something terrifying.
The US Navy set off a 40,000-pound bomb in the Atlantic Ocean, 100 miles off the coast of Florida, saying it was just a military exercise.
However, if you watch the footage, it really doesn't look like a normal military exercise, but instead something terrifying.
It's known there is unknown creatures or aliens living deep in the ocean, so could it be possible that it really wasn't a military exercise, but instead a cover-up to take out a deadly threat in the ocean, knowing they can't tell the public because the panic it will start?
The story of the Bunny Man is one that gives children chills, but do you know it is said to be a true life story of a serial killer?
This is the terrifying story about the Bunny Man.
In 1902, a bus carrying mental patients crashed. All the inmates were recaptured except one man named Douglas Griffin.
He was said to be extremely obsessed with rabbits, and in the coming weeks, rabbit corpses were found all over town.
His thirst for blood did not stop as he then put on an Easter Bunny costume and interacted with kids in the local town. And after finding out where they lived, he would then break into their house and murder their parents with an axe,
and then kidnap the children after. People then started reporting sightings of him under a bridge,
and one night he was hit by a train and killed after trying to escape. However, to this day, people still report sightings of seeing a man dressed up in a bunny outfit, holding an axe under the bridge. And it is said if he makes eye contact with you, you are not getting out of there alive.
Ghosts like their pictures taken too. This is a story of a picture taken that didn't seem to be out of the ordinary. However, when viewed under an infrared light, the story changes to a scary one.
Today I'm going to be talking about one of the most famous alleged ghost photos captured to date. In 1976, Ed and Lorraine Warren were among the first to investigate the Amityville house in Long Island, New York, less than 2 years after the DeFeo family met a tragic end at the hands of Ronald DeFeo Jr., which I will be doing another video on later. During the investigation, paranormal photographer Gene Campbell set up an automatic camera that took infrared photos of the second-floor landing throughout the night. Many rolls of film were developed, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary at first, until they came across this photograph. There appeared to be a young boy in the photo, although there were no children there that night. It is believed by many to be the ghost of 9-year-old John DeFeo, and there's no denying it. There are some eerie similarities when you compare a photo of John DeFeo to the one that was captured. There hasn't been much explanation behind this photo, and many have tried debunking it, but today it still remains a mystery. So what do you think? Do you think that this is the ghost of 9-year-old John DeFeo, or perhaps something more evil pretending to be him? Let me know in the comments.
Who goes on a spree stabbing people with knives randomly with the intent to kill? Apparently, this serial killer's motive for the killing was racially inclined. Watch the clip to figure out his story.
To anyone who may be triggered by these topics, or anyone who's faint of heart, please keep scrolling. Serial killers from every U.S. state. Part 22. Michigan. Elias Abulazam, aka the Serial Stabber. He was known as the Serial Stabber because between 2009 and 2010, Elias Abulazam stabbed 18 people in Flint, Michigan. Of those 18, 5 people were killed. His stabbings became national news when he crossed state lines to stab even more people. Some believe his stabbings were racially motivated because the majority of his victims were African American. He was sentenced to life in prison for his crimes and remains there to this day.
This is the story of the Apollo 1 crew. Whether it was their jokes about praying that got them burned is still left to be answered to date.
I can't help but repeat myself. I know it's not your fault. Still lately I begin to shake for no reason at all. For no reason at all. For no reason at
When the 1986 Challenger crew took their photos as they were walking to the shuttle, none of them thought it would be their last picture before they would die, and that really is the mystery of life.
I can't help but repeat myself. I know it's not your fault. Still lately I begin to shake for no reason at all. For no reason at all. For no reason at
Some of the scariest things happen when no one is watching, other things happen to be caught on camera, and when the person taking such shots is unaware of the situation. Which of these clips did you find the most mysterious? Head over to the comment section and let's find out.